Hello. Thank you for giving us this opportunity and joining us today. I'm Yoshifumi Mizutani from NTT DOCOMO Business, Japan. Today's topic is 130x performance. I will talk about our archives in dramatically enhancing the performance of our system using VMware Tanzu. Let's get started. I'm sorry. This is the original title. Enjoy the story of our journey. First of all, I will share the summary of this presentation. NTT DOCOMO Business and Broadcom partnership started unexpectedly, triggered by access beyond expectations against the ultra-high-speed calculation process of our system in 2023. Our system since then has boosted its performance to 100x using Tanzu Greenplum and another more than 30% increase, with application optimized accompanied with Spring enterprise support. The partnership of NTT DOCOMO Business and Broadcom continues expanding to other areas. This is today's agenda. I and Mr. Hoshino will explain in two parts. First part will introduce NTT DOCOMO Business, explain how we responded to an incident that occurred, and explain our future direction. In the next part, Mr. Hoshino will explain specific actions that we have taken using Tanzu. Let me introduce NTT DOCOMO Business team. I would like to introduce three members of NTT DOCOMO Business. I am Yoshifumi Mizutani. I have over 30 years of experience in Japanese telecommunication industry. Currently, I am responsible for system development and operation for corporate services. I manage nearly 20 systems and am responsible for planning future improvement to our services. In my private life, I am a certificated maestro in Japan for ultramarathons and sweat it out in marathons of over 100 kilometers almost every month. And up to 100 people are involved in our project. One of the core members are here with me today. I would like to introduce them to you. Terushi Yamazaki is a system development professional, and Koji Sasajima is an infrastructure professional. They are active as professionals in system development and operations. Let me introduce our company, NTT DOCOMO Business. The photo shows our president, Mr. Kojima. We have changed our company name to NTT DOCOMO Business from NTT Communications with aim of becoming an industry of regional DX platformer that resolve the management challenges and industrial and regional issue of our corporate customers. Our company name changed in July, but we will continue to lead the NTT Group's ICT business by providing one-stop solutions that utilize the assets of the NTT group. NTT DOCOMO Business delivers value through cutting-edge solutions. Key services include applications, AI, cloud, and data centers. In the network area, we provide both fixed and mobile services. This is the mission of our organization. We have over 100 systems. We build systems in the latest environment and provide services both internally and externally. Of course, all systems are managed and operated safely and securely. Okay. Next slide. I would like to talk about the key areas of our partnership with Broadcom. NTT DOCOMO Business receives strong support from Broadcom for our mission-critical operations. There are three main points. First, large-scale parallel data storage and processing using Greenplum. Next, strong world-class technical support that pushes Greenplum to their limits. Third, we use Spring framework to ensure high stability, high quality, and high security for our applications. I'm sorry. Broadcom's strong product capabilities and professional services support key operations of our services. It will mainly explain about incidents that occurred at our company. Currently, this system utilizes ultra-high-speed database processing to instantly search and provide a wide range of information. For example, it's also being used to download invoices, which will become necessary for tax deductions following legal changes in 2023. 6 million invoices alone are processed each month. Of course, access to information other than invoices is also expanding. In the following slide, I will explain our efforts to make database processing ultra high speed. Next slide. I will explain the challenges we faced. Government regulatory changes increase access to the system, putting it under very high load and causing a serious incident. We anticipated some increase in use, but the actual number of access was 50 times higher than before, far exceeding our expectations. This increase in access was due to a change in government regulations that resulted in sudden surge in system access as customers attempted to obtain the evidence required for tax deductions. The addition of tax deductions information has led to customers accessing the system who previously did not need to access it frequently. As a result, we worked with Broadcom and NTT DOCOMO solutions to implement these improvements to the significantly improve system performance. NTT DOCOMO Solutions is a company that develops, maintains, and operates the NTT Group's internal systems. Next slide. I present the result obtained in 3 steps. Step 1 was to work with Broadcom to find the best way to search using Greenplum. Step 2. Broadcom's professional service and NTT DOCOMO business technical team pushed the limits of performance. Spring allows us to focus on developing and improving our applications. The final step is step 3. We revised the database table and item configuration to match Greenplum. This measure overall maximizes system performance and minimizes resource usage. This resource free up cuts the amount of database resources by more than half. The cost of those resources was also cut in half, resulting in monthly economic impact is $1 million. Okay, next slide. Here, we introduced one of the results archived through our efforts. In step 2, we optimize the database search processing by minimizing loss when using actual resources. The resources targeted were a wide range, including CPU, memory, disk, and network. After analyzing customer usage, we established a comprehensive analysis method for those resources and made improvements over a 6-month period. Working in a collaboration with group company NTT DOCOMO Solutions, we pushed the limits and archived speed improvements of 30% up to 10 times faster than before. Screen transition times when searching for information have also been improved, with search results displayed in 0.01 seconds. In step 3, we worked with NTT DOCOMO Solutions to implement measures to prevent processing delays due to the expected significant increase in data volume over the next few years. To make the most of Greenplum's features, we restructured the database tables and each data item. As a result, performance in 2031 was the same as in 2025. Next slide. Finally, about the future. We are already moving forward with our next actions. There are 3 main actions. First, as monthly processing value is expected to exceed 10 million in the near future, we will expand our services to customers and further optimize our database. Next, We are considering the effective use of various Broadcom products to enhance our services. Last, the third goal is expand use in various solution business and improve customer experience. My last slide. Please let me explain our future plans. First, we aim to apply the know-how gained from our partnership with Tan's team, not only our own systems, but also to our experienced enterprise businesses. With regard to IoT in particular, we would like to expand our services by leveraging the strengths of NTT DOCOMO Group, Japan's largest mobile phone company. Next up, Mr. Hoshino. Let's move on to the next part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Tae-san. So my name is Machi Hoshino. I am a principal platform architect from Tanzu. And from here, I am going to talk about the Broadcom perspective of what just Ms. Tae-san talked about. So my section will be broken down, and I'll try to explain how we achieve the 130%. And basically, it is 100% comes from Greenplum, and the remaining 30 comes from Spring. But before that, let me start the introduction. Now, this slide. I would assume, most of you, this is your first Tanzu session. And on this slide, I put what VCF is, the solutions of VCF, and comparing it with the solution with Tanzu. Now, for those that were with us for a long time, I would assume a lot of people assume that we are a Kubernetes business unit. But from the keynotes or from other sessions, I think you can see that on the container runtime, we have something called vSphere Kubernetes Service that is now included into VCF. So Tanzu is not a Kubernetes solution. So you may ask, well, if Tanzu is not doing Kubernetes anymore, what are we doing? Well, we are now focusing more on the advanced solutions that you can build on top of your IaaS infrastructure. For example, let's say you want massive performance. From the bottom, we can introduce you to something called Tanzu Gemfire. Let's say you want to store massive amount of data. We can introduce you to Tanzu Greenplum. Let's say you want to give your developers the most advanced platform with the newer capabilities. We could introduce you to Tanzu Platform. And finally, let's say you want to give your developers the most advanced enterprise framework. We could introduce you to Spring. Now, I'm comparing it with the hyperscaler solutions, and I'm very confident to say that we do have advantages over these solutions. But anyways, for DOCOMO Business, we were working with two of these products, which is Tanzu Greenplum and Spring. And from here, I do want to talk about our story with those two products. But before I do that, I just want to talk why we have been successful with DOCOMO Business. And it always boils down to three aspects, which is one, is the high quality software solutions, meaning that they like our software, Greenplum and Spring. But it's not only about that. And the second point is that we were very lucky that we were always able to introduce our SME talents. Mizutani-san has mentioned that we are very different from other companies because not only we sell our product, but we really sit with the customer and try to solve the issue. That leads to the third point, meaning that not only we look at the current issue, but we try to design the future using our products. We discuss with the customers how they can be competitive against their competitors by fully utilizing our products. And anyways, it is 3 points. Again, the product, the SME, and the future. So let me start with the story around Greenplum. How many people know Greenplum? Yeah, well, I know you know it, but yeah, I would assume that a lot of people would not know Greenplum. It is not a famous software, but we are very confident to say that Greenplum is actually one of the most advanced data warehouse solutions in the market. Now, Greenplum, in very simple terms, it is a big clustered PostgreSQL server. So PostgreSQL Server, it's a open source relational database, but and very widely used, of course. But there is a common problem that once you store around 1 to 10 terabytes of data, the performance of PostgreSQL drastically decreases. And Greenplum is tended to solve that problem. So in the middle, we have the Greenplum architecture. So the SQL goes into something called the coordinator node on the top, and the SQL gets distributed to something called the segment hosts. These segment hosts are a PostgreSQL server on its own, and you can add as much as segment hosts as you want, which allows you to go over that 10 terabytes limits. Yes, we have customers that are running this product on petabyte scales or in large concurrent environment, as for DOCOMO Business. This product can run on VCF, bare metal, or cloud, and it also can access to external data sources like S3, Hadoop, or relational databases. So in DOCOMO Business, Greenplum was actually used for multiple years, which we did not know until the end of 2023. We received a call from the customer, and the call was, help, we need 1,000 cores. This is very rare. I mean, this product is not so famous, so we usually don't get that type of calls. But let me explain what the situation was. So this drawing is showing as a representation of their architecture. So in the middle, we have Greenplum. And you can see on the bottom, it says batch job. So what it was doing was that this database was storing multiple informations from various NTT services that was collected through a batch job. This batch job had a very limited batch time frame, and they were evaluating multiple products, but Greenplum was one of them that was able to ingest data, very large amount of data to ingest quickly because of that scale-out architecture. So basically, they started using Greenplum just for the batch jobs. But since Greenplum is also a PostgreSQL server, you can actually attach ordinary web applications to it and from PostgreSQL databases. You can, in recent terms, call this like an HTAP solution. But anyways, so this was their architecture, and the problem was occurring on the web access part. So in late 2023, there was a Japan regulation change that caused their system to unexpectedly 50 times access and made the end user's experience very slow. This was one of their critical infrastructures, and it had to be fixed as quickly as possible. The first, or I would say the quick mitigation that we did was, well, they requested for 1,000 cores. We gave them 1,000 cores, and I think in a week or so, we expanded to 1,000 cores. That alone is very simple, but again, the power of Greenplum, because PostgreSQL, you cannot have a 1,000 core PostgreSQL server. There's no x86 server that has 1,000 cores. So because Postgres is a scale-up architecture, and comparing it, Greenplum being a scale-out architecture, we were able to simply scale out to that level of cluster, to cores. This kinda solved the issue, and the end users were okay, but there was a challenge. We knew that the most peak will come in April. There's a reason for that. You can ask me later for that. But we knew that the access will meet its most stressful time in April. And still, there was a threat, or I think a risk, that the cluster will be fully utilized at that time frame. Now, this is showing the results of how slow the system will be once it reaches a CPU 100%. So you can see that it gets very slow when it's fully utilized. And we had to avoid this situation. There's two approaches to do this. One approach is buy more cores and keep adding more cores, which is good for us. We get more license, but it's not good for them. So that was not the approach we wanted to take. So what we did instead is we brought in one of our best SMEs to analyze what is happening with the system. We were very lucky because the SMEs are located in Korea. Well, one of the SMEs, but in Korea and Japan, having a very close time zone, we were able to have a interactive discussion with the customer, analyze their architect, analyze their system, finally going into SQLs line by line, looking at query plans. And we were at one point very confident to fix this system. So what we did was we brought in those engineers from Korea to Japan, let them work with the customer for a day and a half, and we were able to fix this system. So what this is showing is that we were able to make even the CPU below 100% 100 times faster, 1 second to a 0.01 second. And because the cluster now became much faster, from there, we never really see the cluster become fully utilized. And we never see that the end users are complaining around slowness. We're hoping that this cluster today will be able to hold their data until 10 years from now, I think. But we're calculating and making sure that it is now a cluster size that can be able to hold their expected data in the future. Actually, some people may know this story. We actually talked this last year, but basically the 2 points that we fixed, I wrote it in the green part. But the main thing is that, again, they liked our product. Also, they have had a good relationship with our SMEs. And it's also leading to the future of this, of our relationship. So this is just a drawing that we built with the customer. And it's just saying that Greenplum is a great database to store raw data, then visualize it, and then start doing data-driven business, like applying AI to it. They have seen the value of Greenplum, and they're getting their understanding about how it's the other capabilities that it can do, just not other than the simple Postgres use cases. And we're discussing about other use cases to use Greenplum, and we are hoping that we can start a new activity, maybe end of this year or next year, but we're looking at the future. So as we go on, well, we first solved the issue with Greenplum, but we started to see a different issue around Spring. So how many people know Spring? Java. Okay, I know in Japan, everybody is shy, so they don't raise their hands. I know that, but you are lying. 嘘つきです、皆さん。So, Spring, Java, you have to be using it. It's an enterprise framework, #1 enterprise framework, and everybody is using it. So, just to point out one thing is that, first of all, Broadcom is the core contributor of Spring. So, yes, Spring is open source, but we are the only company that is committing to the code. Spring, it was born in 2004, and it was born because of an antithesis against J2EE. J2EE being a very infamous framework at that time frame, every company, every community was trying to get away from J2EE, and Spring Framework was one of them. I'm confident to say that Spring Framework was the most successful among all of them. We've been in the market for more than 20 years. We're adding more users, and end of this year, 2025, we will add a new version called 7.0. I also hear claims that Spring or Java is old. Golang and Node.js, Ruby on Rails is, well, better, which I deny because of the appearance of Spring Boot. Spring Boot is a technology that is built on top of Spring Framework, and is there to really bridge the gap between cloud-native deployments and the Spring ecosystem. It gives you access to more of the advanced features like containerization, GraphQL, gRPC, AI. There is a lot of sessions today, so if you have time, please join those Spring sessions. But anyways, Spring is the #1 Java framework. So, but look, outside of those great numbers, when you limit it to Japan, enterprise companies, we see a common trait, which is first, we still encounter many customers using Spring Framework instead of Spring Boot. Now, from our perspective, this is very bad. They don't have access to the latest technologies. Why are they doing that? Well, one of the reasons was that Spring Boot had a very short open source support period, which is 6 months, and companies, enterprise companies, tend to avoid massive, frequent updates. So we've been seeing a lot of customers still using Spring Framework. Another thing that we've been seeing is that in Japan, there's a lot of localized wrappers of Spring Framework. NTT also had one. The advantage of these local wrappers are they get Japan local support or downstream support, but they also suffer partial lock-in, which Docomo was also in the situation that they couldn't get out of that localized framework. Another thing that is happening in Japan, finally happening, I would say, is that security. Developers were not so serious in security. It used to be an infra discussion, a firewall discussion. But finally, we are seeing that security teams are not allowing that. They are making developers keep their code compliant, up to date, and Docomo Business was actually in the same situation that they had to upgrade their systems quickly and keep it compliant. So again, it's the 3 points, product, SME, and future, and we have a good product. First of all, again, we are the developers of Spring, and I know that 90% of you are not buying Spring and you're using open source version. So if you look at that, what is this representing is that the green line is the open source support period. Yes, it is still 6 months. So yes, you have to upgrade every 6 months. But if you buy it from us, you get the yellow line. Now, this yellow line is we intentionally made the last minor version before the major version 5 years, which is very long. We started doing this last year. So this is really a game changer for us because it really changes the notion that saying that Spring Boot is unstable and Spring Framework is stable. No, Spring Framework, Spring Boot are both stable language. You can use it for your, to protect your past applications, or you can use it to protect your new applications. So Docomo Business was very interested in this, and we were discussing to buy our subscription, but it was not an easy step. Not only they were in a legacy code, but again, they were wrapped around a not so popular Japan framework. So what we did was, again, we brought in the most expert, the SMEs we have in Japan. This SME, what he did was not only he reviewed the code and just upgraded the dependencies, he looked at it and said he can find what can fix the unrecommended part of the code, propose minimal tests, remove hardwired dependency, and finally suggest the path to how to bootify these applications. This activity, we have already converted some of the main core applications of Docomo Business into Spring Boot, if not to the latest Spring framework. Interesting thing is happening is that other sectors within Docomo Business has realized that we were doing this, and they are requesting the same thing for us to convert their legacy code into Spring Boot, mainly because of the security team forcing them to be compliant. So this activity is scaling at the moment and showing value. Now, how does this Spring part relate to the 130% title? So again, when you look at the 130%, the 100% comes from improving Greenplum. The remaining 30 is basically Docomo Business focusing on the core value of their code. So what this is representing is, let's say they did not have our help. They would have to have a lot of costs for keeping the code up to date. And also another part is I intentionally made it blue and red, but they would need more maintainers compared to developers. So blue is developers, red is maintainers. But since we were able to do the boring part of the code, meaning keeping up to date, fixing it to the latest code, they were able to spend less on the maintenance and invest more on the outcome, business value. We let them more focus on optimizing their code. That's why they gained that 30% using our technology. Oops, that's not a correct slide. Okay. So another thing that we're seeing is that now because they are in Spring Boot, they are finally exposed to the more latest technologies that we can provide from our Spring community. For example, we can help them containerize. We have build pack access for Spring Boot. Another thing is, yes, the first step, we had to assign an SME to fix the code and make it up to date. But if they get into Spring Boot, there's a technology called App Advisor that you can automate the update process. So they get access to that also. Another thing is, so many of you may be familiar, is Josh Long. So we were able to bring Josh Long to their company and do a session for them. It was a quiet session, to be honest, but after the session, we got very good feedback. And one of the things that we introduced them was the AI technology that Spring has at the moment. So Spring, it is still widely used only for web or REST API development, but because they are now in Spring Boot, they get access to more of the latest technology, and we are able to discuss more about the advanced AI technologies using their current engineers. So these are the futures that we are working with. All right, this is actually my last slide, and it's the same slide that I just showed you in the beginning. So the success factors that we had with Docomo Business are basically three things. One product, 2 SMEs, and the future. I'm very glad that Docomo Business has acknowledged the value of Broadcom, and we hope that we keep expanding our experience. We hope that we introduce them to more new products. If you need the same support, please ask us, and I hope we can give you the same. Right, that is my end of my session. Any questions? Oh, thank you, thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, this is, any questions? The English, you have a special opportunity to speak in Japanese also, but. All right. I see smiling faces. Oh, sure. I guess you have to speak, yeah.
So, hello, Yannick Hai from Evola. No Japanese today.
Yes, of course.
Just a question in regards to Greenplum. Now there is this whole Tanzu data lake feature coming out. How do you feel about it as a customer?
Yeah, should I talk? Okay, I'll talk about it. I mean, I should let him talk, but I'll just answer the question.
Okay.
So one of the use cases that we are seeing is, so data lake solutions is that since this is a PostgreSQL server, yes, you need to kind of structure your data to ingest the data, which is additional steps. But yes, we do have a use case to first store the raw data that is not structured yet. And we're discussing around using S3 for that, but because that the data lake is now released, which is a combination of a Greenplum and Hadoop, there is a possibility that we can do it all with our solution. So that is, yes, opening a new opportunity for us.
But do you see it as the data lakehouse as you see it in a, I don't know, in Databricks environments where you store your complete structured data within Parquet files and then use Greenplum just as a query engine, or do you want to continue using Greenplum also as a storage?
So if you look at this diagram, I intentionally made it, if you know about the medallion architecture.
Yeah,
yes. So basically, it is true around the bronze area that we would probably assumably use something like Hadoop or S3 to store Parquets or CSVs. That's the ideal approach. But as we go on, when we cleanse it, we're thinking that by using SQL, we can really just do a cleaning with SQL plus, well, maybe a little bit of procedural language and make it into a visualization layer. So this will become, in my current diagram, from here, it will become the local Greenplum database. And now we can use it for visualizing data. So this will be a SQL database. And even from up there, now you can get more of those advanced queries like using, I don't know, MATLib or PostgreSQL. So that's really what we're trying to do here.
So to summarize it, you would rather say, okay, bronze and silver will stay in the lake. And the gold tables will still be persisted.
There's actually an expert over there. I don't know. Do you have an opinion? I mean, I honestly think that we should start doing it from silver or something, but as a Greenplum. I don't know. Yeah.
you really look at what's the type of data you're looking at, the on-stream structures, SQL type processing, you will put that to Greenplum. And if it belongs to, let's say, you're back to logs, things like that, you will put that in Hadoop. But the nice thing though, with the Tanzu data intelligence, you have a PXF layer, which seamlessly integrates these two. The user doesn't have to know whether Hadoop or Greenplum. They're just talking to an optimizer that decides where to go or get it based on how you define the data. So I would say silver is definitely a gray area. It's up to the data architect to pick the right take on that. Gold, as we said, mostly belongs in Greenplum because it's almost very structured at that.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm up.
Any more questions? I think so. Of course.
Okay.
Right now, yes. Right now, this is running on GCP. Yes, so we don't know the hardware, but it is running on massive, big VMs. So actually, well, Google is kind of hesitant to add more VMs at this point. So yeah, we have to consider, maybe there are some points that we have to consider at the moment. All right, thank you. I mean, first of all, I think it was very nervous for him to speak in English. Again, please, applause for it. Thank you.